Welcome. I'm the Parliament Raven. Greetings. Pull up a seat, pour yourself a cup of tea. My name's Jason Rodriguez, and I'm the Parliament Raven. And today we're going to talk about something that's pretty interesting. Let me ask you a question. What if the way you treat the barista at Starbucks or your roommate, maybe your parents or your annoying little sibling, maybe that coworker that really just gets on your nerves, what if that is a mirror of how much you love God or how much you love yourself? And in both cases, this could be a deep truth that needs to be unraveled, right? And I think about this a lot because when it comes to coaching and how you treat people, it's like at the core of just so many things. If you don't love yourself, if you look at yourself negatively, it's really hard to treat others positively. And there's a toxic version of that where you have so little value for yourself that you want other people to treat you bad, right? And there's definitely some needing for some counseling, maybe a psychologist, to unravel why that is. Sometimes that really is something that needs help. And I start with that because the value of yourself really does reflect things to other people. And from any age level, from middle school on up, it's very obvious when people have low self-esteem. We call it low self-esteem, but it's also low self-love. There's nothing wrong with the concept of loving yourself. So where does this come from? Why am I even bringing this up? In Matthew 22:37, Jesus says, "You shall love the Lord God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind." And he says this after that, "This is the greatest and first commandment, and the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself." And of these two commandments, all the law of the prophets rests. So the whole summation is to love God and love people. And that's still too simple. It's to love God and love people as you would love yourself. For instance, if you would like a steak, your friend would probably like a steak. Let me give you an example. I live next to this great guy by the name of Ben. And Ben is, man, he's a believer. He works elderly. He sees me out working on the lawn and he brings out his green bin and helps me sweep up. Ben also likes trading food. He's offered me lamb chops. I've offered him enchiladas, right? We like treating each other as we want to be treated. And we talk about and we share stories when people don't treat us that way. It's very interesting when we don't get that reciprocal in life. We have another neighbor who treats us differently because of our darker skin color. We'll leave it at that. Okay, he's racist. And and he looks at us like we're going to steal something or do something to his property in the alleyway. I'm not going to mention names, just to say that that's a thing that happens sometimes in the neighborhood. But back to Ben. Ben really does like treating others as he wants to be treated. Whether he knows he's doing that or not, it's just something in his character. A character, and as a believer, man, that's something that really highlights to me when I see it, right? So Jesus simplifies that scripture, to love God, to love people as you would love yourself. And I think the reason he does that is because we have a tendency to be a very selfish being. And And when we're not selfish, when we're things, we have a tendency to be damageable. Now, I'm using selfish in a positive light rather than a negative. You could be selfish and be like a child in a kindergarten classroom where it's mine, 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 all the toys are mine. Or you can be selfish in the sense that I need to thrive, I need to be well, and then I can be well to others. There's a selfishness to that. Dan Tacchini, and I won't mention where this happens, has this game where you test how much you value yourself. Let me tell you, I did terrible at it at the time. Nowadays, I'd probably still do pretty terrible at it, due to the fact that I don't mind helping people or risking myself to help people. I guess that's why I'm a teacher, I'm a coach, I'm a counselor. And yes, I get that there's a point where if I can't save myself, like on an airplane, I need to put the mask on first before I put the mask on the kid, then everybody dies. I get that. But there's some points of view where there's only a certain amount of seats in that ship that's going down, and women and children are first. Titanic. On the other hand, you don't release the boats early. Yeah, I know my history. All right, so let's continue on, right? I'm looking at my notes and I'm just like, why'd I put some of these things in here? Let's just continue on to this. So the challenge is that there's struggles in our hearts. Throughout our lives, people throw curveballs and things that are lies nominally that we believe about ourselves. And I probably should have started there. The lies that we believe about ourselves hinder us from loving others and from having relationships, right? Whether it be someone calling you ugly, whether it be somebody calling you stupid, whether it be someone saying you don't value, or someone saying that you're hated, or someone, I mean, the list goes on and on. And some of the list, I can list things in my life that I had to overcome, that people, that I believe from people, or that I just had to let bounce off of me like rubber. Right? You know, I'm rubber, you glue, whatever bounces off of me sticks to you. Sometimes that statement is really good. The whole sticks and stones will break your bones, but words will never hurt you. That's what it should be. Sticks and stones will break your bones, and words will cut to the heart. That will probably be a better one. Either way, let's talk about common struggles, right? How about when we reach a point of adulthood? In Jewish adulthood, that'd be 12. That's after your bar mitzvah or bat's mitzvah. There's this whole concept of people deserving things. It starts to grow as you get older. Well, they don't deserve it. You know, someone treats you bad. It's I think of middle school and high school and Valentine's Day, where people would bring Valentine's for the whole class. And sometimes people wouldn't bring Valentine's for the whole class. They would only bring it for the people they thought deserved it, right? And people would be left out of the situation because that child thinks they don't deserve it. And as we get older, we think that about a lot of people. They don't deserve it. They're terrible people, or they're nothing. This doesn't deserve a tip. They were rude and things. And sometimes that's true, but sometimes they're having a hard day. And that you know, discerning, in that case, discerning is definitely something you should do. But also, we've got to remember that we don't deserve it as much as they don't. Romans 5:8 says grace is earned, not given, right? Mercy is, you know, is being relinquished of something you deserve. Grace is absolutely being forgiven for something that you obviously should take the punishment. It is the victim taking the place of the person who did the crime. That's grace, right? That person who did the crime doesn't deserve the grace that the victim is giving. Another common struggle in a heart check is I don't have the time. You don't want people telling you that they don't have the time for you, for whatever they're asking. Now, let's be reasonable, right? Someone asks you that they're moving, but you already have something planned, or they need something to be done for them, and you have the ability to, but you don't, and your excuse is I don't have the time, and instead you stay home and you binge Wednesday, or what's the other one? Sandman on Netflix, or up and coming One Piece. I mentioned those three because those are things I binge watch. Right? And then there's that other question, the question of the heart of fear of what if they take advantage of me for showing them love as I like to be loved. And the interesting fact, I'm going to pull back a little bit, and the interesting fact is that we love people the way we want to be loved. So my daughter gives gifts because she feels loved when she receives gifts, right? I like giving people quality time because I feel loved when I get quality time, right? We give out what we want reciprocated. It's a natural part, right? So love your neighbor as yourself. And when we love on people, right? If you go by the love languages, we love people as we want that love to be reciprocated. There's a lot of relationship issues that can be so easily navigated. I'm not going to say fixed, navigated, if you know what the other person needs, right? So, for instance, if your wife, I'm going to use not my wife, but a wife. If a wife keeps wanting you to fix the house and maintain things because her dad fixed the house and maintained things, the way she learned that she is loved and that her mom was loved was being taken care of in that way, right? And how about and a husband? And a husband asks for a meal. He wants a meal to be done, and then he wants his wife to come and sit with him on the couch. You don't even have to say nothing. They just want that time together, right? And when they don't get it, and there starts anger issues and bang and boom and blah, right? There was I'm going to say early 2000s. There was a Pay It Forward movie, and I think Haley Joel Osment starred in it. And people started paying it forward. They started treating people like they were treated themselves. Especially in the Starbucks line. The person in front would pay for the person in back. And then sooner or later, people would start taking advantage of that. And it stopped, right? It's the what if I get taken advantage? Some people are going to try to take advantage. And that's going to come from insecurities or that they're just a bad person. I mean, yes, there's bad people out there. They make bad decisions, right? But the goal is to continue loving people like you love yourself anyways, right? To recoup from that, to re-energize in prayer, in meditation, knowing that it's not an attack on you or your thing. And yes, sometimes it's going to hurt because it's going to come from somebody close. It's going to be a miscommunication. And sometimes you're going to know they're going to do it, and you're going to allow it. And so it's not their fault if you allow it, right? It's you go back to non-negotiables, right? If you've got to draw that line, some boundaries with them. So let me encourage you, right? First, let me encourage you to know that you are loved, that you're loved by a God that's higher than us, that's inside and outside of time, that created the platypus that glows in dark lights and looks like a duck and hatches in an egg but is a mammal. We live in a world that has beautiful beaches and wonderful forests, and we've created so many amazing things in a world that a creator has put his fingerprint on. whether you look at physics or design. There's just things that are amazing and that are amazing about you. And when you love others like you love yourself, you invite them in to how amazing you are, right? And when it's reciprocated, man, I mean, that's how you have best friends. That's how you have spiritual brothers and sisters. And that's how you have family members. You got to discern still. You have to be willing to go through some painful stuff, because all relationships bring some sort of challenge sooner or later, right? Otherwise, it's just a surface level and they're gone with a season. I'm looking to see if there's anything else I want to tell you. Oh yeah, challenge. Is there somebody you haven't been in your close circle that you haven't been loving as you love yourself? Maybe you didn't invite them to the party. Maybe you text message everybody but not them. Maybe you haven't you've called all your other ones in the recent few weeks but haven't called them. And you would like to be called or messaged. You know, you'd like to be invited over for dinner, or someone to plan you a surprise party. So think about it. Maybe there's somebody in your circle that you really do need to love on, and that's the challenge. And if there's not, well, then love on somebody. That's the B, right? That's the B. A is love on somebody you haven't loved, and B is love on somebody that you've loved on anyways if you've already loved on everybody. Don't play favorites. Till next time, pour yourself a cup of tea, and we'll talk soon.
Like, subscribe, leave a good comment. Thanks for visiting the Parliament. If you want to know about Gravitas coaching, please visit gravitas.co. It's also where we host the Parliament. Join the conversation on Facebook at the Parliament Raven Podcast. Last but not least, the intro and outro music credits. Intro music by Russ Budgeon and outro music by Sarnav Aravistov.